Today we're talking about 5 steps that I took in order to sell my artworks for over $1,000. This was like super important milestone for me, and I achieved this like a few years ago. It was something really important and I was dreaming about that for quite a few years, so let's get into it. Step number 1. I asked my friend with the best communication skills to promote my art. At that time I realized that I wasn't good at communication. I am still not a good person to communicate, to network. I realized that I don't do this, so somebody else has to do this for me. That's why I searched for my friends. I picked the one that had the best communication skills. I mean, for him, getting in contact with other persons, it's like a pleasure. He enjoys doing this. Not the case for me, but anyway, I asked him to promote my art, so he started promoting my art to his friends. Everywhere where he was going at a party, he was like, okay, look, I got this friend that's doing amazing artworks, and so on. And this step was actually the one that got me the first sale. It was, I don't remember, like $200 or something like this. But anyway, it was a first sale. So for me it was very important, and it was the beginning. It was the thing that got me selling artworks. I don't remember how many I sold through him. Anyway, our collaboration went on through a lot of years. Now I got in contact with galleries, auction houses, and so on. But at that time, he was like a blessing for me. So this step that I took, I mean, I believe it was the start of my career. I'm thanking him for doing this for me. And yeah, I think this is something that you can do. Just find a friend that has the best communication skills and ask him to promote you. He was doing this for free because he was a friend of mine. He believed in my art, and yeah, this is how I got my first sale. So maybe this can help you, and maybe you can do this too. Number 2, asking local restaurants and pubs to display my art. At that time, I realized that people need to see my art. As I'm doing these collages, people need to see them in real life. They understand better my artwork and my work behind them if they see it in real life. So I went to a lot of restaurants and pubs. Of course, I searched for the ones that had empty walls and that they could display my art, and asked them directly if they can display my art. Their first and the only thing that got in the way, it was, okay, we don't want to, people might ruin them, and we cannot ensure that they will be safe here. For me at that time it was okay. I mean, if somebody ruined an artwork, okay, that's it. Of course I was afraid that this might happen. Luckily, it only happened like very small parts that I could repair later on. But that was a good step. That was a good step for me, because over there I got a lot of sales, I went to some restaurants that were in the middle of the city. A lot of known people came over there. So some of them bought my art, still for a very cheap price, like, I don't know, $300 to $400. But at that time, that was very important for me, because they start sharing my artwork on their social network. Also, people that were coming to these pubs and restaurants, they were taking pictures of my artworks and they were displaying it on their social media. So that was another step that made me go a little up with the price of my artwork. So yeah, I think this can help too, especially nowadays that a lot of restaurants opened again after, the pandemic and so on. You just gotta search for a place, for a bar or a pub or a restaurant that has empty walls. Most of the time they will enjoy doing this. Of course, it depends a little on your artworks, if they can be displayed, if they are not, I don't know, if they can fit in their profile of the restaurant or bar, pub, and so on. But I'm sure you can find one. Search for the ones that are like really Instagrammable, that people go there and take pictures of the food, of I don't know, the environment and so on. And I'm sure that if you do this, your artworks will appear in these photos. They will probably tag you if you put a small, I don't know, like a sign where you write your name, your details, and people will start calling you and ask for your artworks. And this is how you pretty sure can make a sale with this step, because people that are interested in your art, that they will call you. So yeah, that's a good step. That's a simple thing to implement, so you can try this also. Number 3, creating social accounts like on Instagram, Facebook, and so on, to display my art and grow them up. Okay, so I don't know, like 9 years ago, before I met my wife, I was thinking that I'm too cool for social accounts, I'm too cool for Facebook, for Instagram and so on. My art should be selling, I don't know, a gallery should find me. Art should not be displayed on these childish platforms. So yeah, at that time I didn't have a Facebook account, I didn't have an Instagram account, I didn't have a YouTube account, and meeting my wife was like the best thing that happened in my life. But also it was a super important step in my career. Because of this, she convinced me to make these social accounts. I managed to grow on Instagram pretty fast. I went up to, I don't know, like 15k of followers. People were starting to ask me how much does an artwork cost, how much time does it take you to make one. They were seeing the process, they were seeing the results, and they were more interested in my art. Thinking now, for what I was thinking actually back then, when I was thinking that, I don't know, some curator, some art gallery will come and discover me and say, okay, we want your artwork, you're a super talented artist. Thinking now about that, I can only imagine how stupid I was, because nobody will come like that. This will not happen, only if you are lucky. But I think you'd better win the lottery than somebody finding you like this. Social media is the greatest way to promote yourself right now. Stop thinking that your art is selling. Your art is not selling by itself. You need to sell your art. You need to promote your art. You need to be displaying your art wherever you can, as often as you can. And social networks are a super good place to do this. Nowadays, especially, people spend more time on their phones than they spend on looking on the walls as they walk on the streets. So being on social networks is definitely one of the must things you do right now. Also, this was the step where I managed to grow up to like $500 or $600 per artwork, and I'm super thankful for my wife. First of all, for being my wife, for accepting to be my wife, and also for convincing me to create these social accounts that now I think an artist cannot live without, and my art career would definitely be totally out of your reach and out of everybody's reach, because probably only my friends and only a few people would have discovered me. Now I have like still 15,000 followers. That it's a pretty big amount of people that can also share. If they like one of my artworks, they share it, and this goes on, and a lot of people discover me. And yeah, this still is one of the most important ways of me promoting my art. Number 4. This one is super hard. I'm talking about networking and talking to art galleries, art curators. So yeah, that's a hard one. Okay, so as I said before, I don't have communication skills, but at this point in my art career, I realized that I need to talk to people. I need to stop being such an introvert and start discussing more and promoting my art by myself, in talking to people. I was I don't know, if I was meeting somebody new, I was afraid of talking about my art and showing them what I do. This thing for me is very hard. This still is very hard to do, but I realize that this is very important, because people won't buy your art. Okay, I don't know how to say this. Okay, now people will not buy the artwork itself. People will buy your art and the artist that stands behind it. People are really interested in the artist that created an artwork. This is why you need to be communicating with everybody. In this step, I managed to find just a few, but I managed to start a discussion with the art curators and art galleries. So I was discussing with a lot of art galleries and art curators. I was present at different art events, and I was trying to get in touch with them and start a communication. Not necessarily to display my art or to show them, look what I do, like a desperate one. I was just trying to get in contact with them, see what they are interested in, and so on. In this step, an art curator from one of the galleries right here, somewhere in the neighborhood. Actually, at that time, it wasn't in the neighborhood, it was in the other part of the city. But now this art gallery is actually next to the place where I live. Anyway, This guy liked my art and said, you know what, I want to promote you. I want to have your artworks in my art gallery. At that time I didn't have like too many artworks because I only can create like one artwork a month, and I only had like 2 or 3 artworks, but he liked them. I gave them to him, and this is where things started to go big. I mean, one of my artworks he sold for like $1,800, something like this, but he took half of it, so my milestone of selling with $1,000 wasn't yet reached, because I was talking about $1,000 for my own part, not the art galleries or somebody else taking, for what I earned from my artwork. And this made me believe that, okay, if he can sell my artwork for $1,800, I can definitely sell for more. So at this point my artworks already had this value of over $1,000, and so in a way I felt like I reached this milestone of 1,000, but in another way I didn't yet. So I kept on struggling and hustling, and I got to the step 5 that took me to sell my artworks for more than $1,000 for my part, for what I earned. Number 5, asking commercial galleries for one of their empty spaces that I can work and display my art until they find a tenant. This one was like a really important one, because this was the step where I got to sell my artworks for over $1,000 a piece, and I think it was a pretty smart one that can apply right now very good, because in this moment a lot of commercial galleries have empty spaces, and for a commercial gallery it's like the worst thing to have an empty space, because if people go through through a commercial gallery and they see empty spaces, they feel like, okay, this is not such a good commercial gallery, because all the spaces are not full. So these commercial galleries are pretty interested to have them full and animated. For them, having an art studio in one of them, it's a super cool thing. People that are walking by, they see you work over there, so yeah, it's a good thing for them. And if you ask them, okay, look, you have this empty space, can I work in it until you find a tenant? Of course I will pay. I needed to pay the light and so on, but I didn't pay a rent for this space. And this particular thing in my art career was like the biggest step that I took, and I will explain exactly why. At this point, I was before the pandemic. I searched for commercial galleries that had like super expensive brands, like, I don't know, all the fancy brands that are selling clothes and so on. Because if somebody comes through that gallery and they can buy like $2,000 shoes or a purse or something like this, they can definitely have this money to buy artworks. And for me, working in that art gallery, tearing paper apart from magazines, sticking them to my artworks, people going by saw, oh, what is that guy doing? I entered and so on, and we started the conversation. A lot of people like what I did. I think there are 5 years since then. People are still calling me, hey, I found you in that commercial gallery, remember? I would like one of your artworks. And yeah, this was a great way to promote my art. I think that nowadays, since the pandemic it's over, and it was this problem with a lot of brands and a lot of spaces closing, this is a good thing that you can do right now, going to commercial galleries. I would suggest like more expensive commercial galleries, but you can also go into shopping malls and so on. They will, I'm pretty sure, if they like your artworks, and they are not like art galleries that are analyzing your artwork so deeply and okay, you don't fit or something like this. They just like to have, just tell them that you will do your studio over there and you will work every day, and trust me, they will be interested in doing this. Of course, there is this bad part that they might say, hey, you know what, in a week we are renting this space, so you need to get out. But you can get over this, because for at least a few months you can work over there and people will get in contact with you. People can see exactly what you work and what you do, and this is what is selling. This is what makes people buy your art. Also, one thing that I need to mention, I also did this like on the street. I was actually working on the street, and people going by were also getting in contact with me saying, hey, I like your artworks, how much do they cost? Some of them said, oh, this is super expensive. Some of them were okay. Actually, one person bought one of my artworks when it wasn't even finished. I was working on the street on this piece of artwork. It was like 95% done. I still had to glue some pieces to it. But this lady came by and said, no, I want to buy it right now. I said, okay, I can ship it to you tomorrow. I will finish it and ship it to you. She said, no, I want it right now, but it's not finished. And then she said something like, you know what? Maybe this is how it's supposed to be. When I will display this artwork in my home, everybody will say, but look, here is not finished. And I will say, yeah, because I bought it in the moment he was creating it. And then I felt like, okay, this makes sense. So I sell it just like that on the street. This can also work. Just be present where people are going, crossing by, and see you creating art, because this is, I think, the key point in selling art. People seeing you creating art. This is what at this moment I believe is the most important thing, the most valuable thing, the thing that creates the thing that creates the emotion that a buyer needs to have in order to get your artwork. Okay, so fast forward. At this point I was selling like with $600-700 per artwork, and being present in this commercial gallery and having my own studio over there and working, I also had all my artworks displayed on the walls, got me to a lot of commissions, like commissions for 6 months. I had like 7, as I remember, 7 commissions. And at that point somebody came in and asked me, okay, I'm very interested, I like your artwork, can you make, I don't remember, it was Kennedy, or I can't remember the artwork exactly. He said something like this. I told him, look, I can only do it like in a year. This also made me look like I'm a very busy artist. And when he asked me, okay, and how much do you want for it, how much do you charge for this commission, it was this time when I could say, you know what, I'm gonna say $1,000. And thinking in my head as we had that conversation, I was thinking maybe I should ask even more than 1,000. And I said, you know what, I will ask for, all this thing was going through my mind, and I said, you know what, I think I can sell this for 1,200. Let me say 1,200 euros. And if it sells, okay. If it doesn't, I still have work for 6 months, 7 months. For me, it's okay. So I said directly $1,200. It was actually euros. All this discussion was in euro because I'm living in Europe. But anyway, this time it's pretty much the same. Back then it was also such a small difference that it didn't matter. So yeah, he said, okay, count me in. Pay me 50% in advance. He did, and that's the story. That's how I got to sell my artworks for over $1,000 each. Okay, and since you stick till the end, I've got another bonus. I think it's like a bonus point, and this one is actually, I don't know if you'll understand, but I will try to explain. Working a 9-to-5 job and having money all this time I didn't needed the money from my artworks. I could live pretty well only by this 9-to-5 that I had. I was working actually only overtime in weekends, some days off, and working in this space that I had. I think this, usually art curators and art galleries say, you know what, I only want artists that are full-time artists. But for me, this wasn't the case. For me, working a 9-to-5 made me have this comfort, this financial comfort that let me create very relaxed, that I had no pressure of selling my art. If I sold my art, it was okay. If I didn't, it was still okay. I still had my job, it was everything okay. So I think that working a 9-to-5 and having this financial comfort of not needing to sell your art and not being I don't know how to say, desperate to sell your art just to sell in order to have money to live and so on. I think this was a pretty important thing that made me pretty comfortable in growing this price tag that I had. And And yeah, I think it's pretty good to work a 9 to 5, especially in the beginning of your art career. Of course, if you already have the money and you can afford to spend all day long working and working for years and not getting money, it's okay. We are talking about art, and if you don't like what you're doing, then you, of course, the result won't be, you won't have success. But if you really enjoy what you're doing, creating art, then you can also do it in your free time. And this is how you can keep up your price tag. This is how you can not be desperate to sell your artwork for $100, $200, $300. You can wait, and later on they definitely will sell for more. Just keep promoting yourself. Just start promoting yourself as early as you can. Since you did the first artwork and you are proud of it, just start selling it. Start promoting it on your social networks. Start promoting it to your friends. If you don't have good communication skills, just ask a friend to do that for you. And when you gather a bunch of artworks, when you have, I don't know, like at least 10, 15 artworks, go to art galleries, go to commercial galleries and ask them for an empty space, and trust me, you will begin to sell your artworks. For every artwork, there is a buyer. Okay, that was it. I hope it was helpful. See you on the next one.